University Challenge. Asking the questions, Jeremy Paxman.
Hello, tonight's teams are each playing on behalf of institutions with a formidable reputation in this contest, but only one of them will be able to take a place in the quarter-finals and will be saying goodbye to the losers. Now, the team from Magdalen College, Oxford, played their first-round match against Sydney Sussex College, Cambridge, and were neck and neck until the halfway mark when their eclectic knowledge of Cistercians, Stoicism and crochet stitches put them comfortably ahead of their opponents with 205 points to 125 at the gong. Representing an institution which has won the contest 4 times in the past and with an average age of 20, let's meet the Magdalen team again.
Hi, my name's Will. I'm from Kew and I'm studying history.
Hi, I'm Rob Mangan. I'm from Nottingham and I study chemistry.
This is their captain.
Hello, I'm Henry Watson. I'm from Wimbledon and I'm reading philosophy, politics and economics.
Hi, I'm Richard Purkis. I'm from Richmond in southwest London and I'm reading for a Masters in Medieval History.
There's a maxim to the effect that it's not about winning, it's about taking part, which the team from Manchester University seemed to be taking a little too literally in their first-round match. They stayed on a minus score for the first few minutes and then continued to trail Lincoln College, Oxford for most of the rest of the match. But an impressive rally in the final stages saw them 5 points ahead at the gong. Their university have won this contest 3 times in the past and are also the reigning champions. With an average age of 28, let's meet the Manchester team again.
Hi, I'm David Bryce. I'm from Kingston upon Thames and I study economics.
Hi, I'm Adam Barr. I'm from Muswell Hill in North London and I'm studying physics with astrophysics.
And now their captain introduces himself.
Hello, I'm Richard Gilbert. I'm from Warwickshire and I study linguistics.
Hi, I'm Debbie Brown. I'm from Buxton in Derbyshire and I'm studying for a PhD in pain epidemiology.
OK, you can all recite the rules in your sleep, so fingers on the buzzers. Here's your first starter for 10. The name of which European city links treaties that ended the Albigensian Crusade against the Cathars in 1229, the 7 Years' War in 1763, the American War of Independence in 17...
Magdalen right.
Paris?
Paris is correct, yes. First set of bonuses, then, to you, Magdalen College. They're on poets' epitaphs. Which poet's name is absent from his tombstone? It describes him instead as a young English poet who, on his deathbed, in the bitterness of his heart at the malicious power of his enemies, desired these words to be engraven on his tombstone. Here lies one whose name was writ in water.
Keats? Keats?
It was John Keats, yes. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Which of the Romantic poets who died by drowning has a grave in Rome which bears these words, and from which play by Shakespeare are they taken?
Shelley in The Tempest?
Correct. And finally, my epitaph shall be my name alone. These words appear in Hours of Idleness, a collection of 1807 by which poet?
Who's left? Byron?
Byron?
Byron's right. 10 points for this starter question. For an 1816 production of which of Mozart's operas did the Prussian architect and set designer Carl Friedrich Schinkel create a star-studded backdrop, since then much imitated, for the entrance of the Queen of the Night?
Manchester Gilbert.
Magic Flute.
The Magic Flute is correct, yes. Now, your first bonuses, Manchester, are on the year 1812. Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture commemorates the retreat of the French army following which major battle of September 1812, around 100 kilometres west of Moscow?
Borodino.
Correct. Now docked in Charlestown, Massachusetts, which American frigate was nicknamed Old Ironsides after its role in the War of 1812 against Great Britain?
Constitution.
Correct. In May 1812, which British Prime Minister was assassinated in the lobby of the House of Commons by John Bellingham?
Spencer Perceval.
Correct. 10 points for this starter question. Which 2 initials link the Scottish-born writer whose most famous creation first appeared in The Little White Bird in 1902, the Irish author of The Playboy of the Western World, and the South African novelist and Nobel laureate?
Manchester Gilbert.
JM.
JM is correct. These bonuses, Manchester, are on tests. Firstly, after the physiologist who introduced it in 1879, after a railway disaster at Lagerlunda, Sweden, the Holmgren test was an early scientific test of what condition?
Hypothermia, maybe?
I don't know.
Hypothermia.
No, it's colour vision or colour blindness. Named after the Japanese ophthalmologist who devised it, which common test for colour blindness consists of plates each composed of dots of different colours closely packed together?
Ishihara.
I think so,
Okay. Ishihara?
Ishihara is correct, yes. And finally, explaining our ability to perceive colour in ambient coloured environments, the Retinex theory of colour vision was proposed by which scientist and inventor of the Polaroid camera?
Do you know the camera?
Eastman, who's involved in films.
We'll go for that then, we don't know. Eastman?
That was Edwin H. Land. 10 points for this. A professor of radio astronomy at Manchester University from 1951, who was responsible for building the radio telescope at Jodrell Bank. It was used to trace Sputnik in the 1960s and was renamed after the astronomer.
Manchester Bar.
Bernard Lovell?
Bernard Lovell is correct, yes. Bonuses this time, Manchester, are on English history and Italian opera. Rossini had already used his overture to the Barber of Seville in an earlier opera about which Queen of England, written in 1815.
I think it's more likely to be Elizabeth I.
Was it in fact a sovereign queen or was it a queen regent?
I think it's probably going to be a reigning sovereign, so I think Elizabeth I is good.
Okay.
Elizabeth I?
It was. Produced at Milan in 1830, the opera Anna Bolena was the first work to achieve international recognition for which composer?
What year was it? 1830. Italian composer, 1830. Someone like, I want to like Notevoli for him. I don't want Monteverdi name. No, it's too late. I'll go for it now. Monteverdi?
That was Donizetti. And finally, premiered in Paris in 1835, Vincenzo Bellini's final opera, I Puritani, is a love story set during the time of which war?
English Civil. Yeah, I think Civil War.
Sounds good.
The English Civil War?
Correct. Right, we're going to take a picture round now. For your picture starter, you're going to see a section of the family tree of characters in a 19th century novel. 10 points if you can give me the missing name, and you can give me either her maiden or her married surname, but I want her given name as well.
Maudlin Wright.
Birth of Rochester? Oh.
Yes! Well done. So following on that diagram of familial relations in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, you're going to see 3 more family trees of characters in novels by the Bronte sisters. In each case, 5 points if you can give me the missing given name and the novel in which the character appears. Firstly, for 5.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Pass.
That's Shirley, as in Shirley Gerard Moore, née Keldar. And secondly,
which ones are we missing from the sisters? It's not Wuthering Heights. It could be Wuthering Heights. Like Kathy Lawrence?
Okay. Kathy Wuthering Heights?
no, that's Frederick Lawrence in The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. And finally,
Oh, that would be Heathcliff, yeah. Heathcliff, yeah.
There's a Heathcliff up there.
No, it's Heathcliff.
It's another Heathcliff.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I think it's Heathcliff, but he ends up with Kathy, doesn't he?
Okay, you say so?
I don't know.
Heathcliff Wuthering Heights?
no, it's Hareton Earnshaw in Wuthering Heights. 10 points for this starter question. Apparently adorning the walls of the Gryffindor common room in the Harry Potter films, what title is given to the series of 6 15th century tapestries more properly housed in the Cluny Museum in Paris?
Maudlin Wright.
The Bayeux Tapestry?
No. Manchester, one of you buzz. They're The Lady and the Unicorn. 10 points for this. What term is used in chemistry for the absorption and retention of a gas within the interstices of the crystal lattice of a metal or other solid? In medicine, it indicates total or partial obstruction of a blood vessel, especially by thrombosis.
Maudlin Wright.
Clot?
No. Manchester, one of you buzz.
Manchester Brown.
Occlusion.
Occlusion is correct, yes. This set of bonuses, Manchester, are on Antarctica. Which Antarctic sea is named after the British navigator who discovered it in 1823? He also gives his name to a type of seal.
Would it be
Cook or Weddell?
Yeah,
Weddell.
Okay, Weddell.
Weddell is correct. Lying off the western coast of the Antarctic Peninsula, which sea bears the name of the Russian explorer who in 1821 led the first circumnavigation of Antarctica?
Is that Ross? The Ross Sea's around there.
Russian? I think he's Russian. What is Rus? Do you know any Russian seas?
I don't, I'm afraid.
We don't know that one.
It's the Bellingshausen Sea. And finally, which sea shares its name with the ice shelf at its head, lying directly south of New Zealand? Both are named after a 19th century British explorer.
Ross.
Correct. 10 points for this. Which informal term for anyone voting independently of party lines is thought to have come first to prominence in describing Republicans who backed the Democrat Grover Cleveland against the Republican candidate James G. Blaine in the US presidential election of 1884?
Manchester Gilbert.
Floating voter?
No, one of you buzzed from Magdalen.
Magdalen Wright.
Burners?
No, they're mugwumps. 10 points for this. Give not the nationality, but the name of the national anthem, of which the first words in translation are "Arise, children of the fatherland."
Manchester Brown.
Marseillaise.
The Marseillaise is correct, yes. Right, these bonuses are on the 30s poets, Manchester. During the 1930s, W.H. Auden wrote plays including The Dog Beneath the Skin and The Ascent of F6 in collaboration with which English-born writer who emigrated to the USA with him in 1939?
Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
Sorry?
J.L. Carr?
J.L. Carr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
JL Carr?
No, it was... that was much later. No, it's Christopher Isherwood. Born in Belfast, which poet collaborated with Auden on the 1937 Letters from Iceland? His other works include Autumn Journal and The Burning Perch.
The only Northern Irish poet I know is Heaney, but he's far too early for him. Do you know any Northern Irish poets apart from Heaney?
No.
It's too early, but Seamus Heaney.
No, it's Louis MacNeice. And finally, which poet edited Oxford Poetry with Auden in 1927? Noted for his translations of Virgil, he succeeded John Masefield as Poet Laureate in 1968.
Betjeman?
Yes.
Betjeman?
No, it was C. Day Lewis. Right, another starter question. I pressed the fire control and ahead of me rockets blazed through the sky. These words appear in which 1963 painting?
Manchester Gilbert.
Wham.
Wham is correct, yes. Roy Lichtenstein, and your bonuses this time are on geophysics, Manchester. What title did the geophysicist Inga Lehmann use for her article of 1936, presenting evidence that Earth had a relatively small inner core? It's one of the shortest titles of an academic paper ever published.
I don't know anything about science.
I've never heard of it, so...
Make something up.
Recall.
Small word. The core.
The core.
The core.
No, it's P prime. Able to travel through solids but not liquids. What type of seismic wave motion is transverse to the direction of propagation?
Well,
No, it's
Transverse. No.
Transverse. It's P waves.
P.
P wave. Okay. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
L's long did you use? So it's not, yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's
P.
primary, secondary. Primary,
Okay.
because transverse
P.
ones show...
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's second S waves, because transverse waves show solar.
going to nominate you. Okay.
Nominate Bar.
S waves?
S waves or secondary wave, shear wave is correct, yes. After the title of nobility to which the physicist John William Strutt succeeded in 1873, what term describes a seismic surface wave that rolls along the ground?
Kelvin, maybe? Kelvin wave?
I
'Cause-
don't know. So I'm going to go Kelvin. You say?
yeah.
Kelvin wave?
No, it's a Rayleigh wave. Right, we're going to take a music round now. For your music starter, you'll hear a piece of classical music. 10 points if you can give me the name of the composer.
Magdalen Wright.
Mahler?
No, you can hear a little more, Manchester.
Manchester Gilbert.
Brahms?
No, it's Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto. So, music bonuses shortly. Fingers on the buzzers. Here's another starter. The most politic historiographer that ever writ. These words of Thomas Hobbes refer to which historian? Born near Athens around 460 BC, he was the author of the History of the Peloponnesian...
Magdalen Mangan.
Herodotus.
No, you lose 5 points. History of the Peloponnesian War. I'll tell you, it's Thucydides. 10 points for this. Darwin's finches on the Galapagos Islands are examples of what type of speciation occurring when a small population colonises a new habitat at the periphery of the original population?
Maudlin Watson.
Implantation?
No. Manchester, one of you, Buzz?
Manchester Bar.
Microevolution?
No, it's peripatry. 10 points for this. Listen carefully. The three-letter ISO 4217 currency codes for the Tongan panga and the Colombian peso together form what rhyming expression? A colloquial expression for a senior police officer.
Maudlin Mangan.
Top brass.
Anyone want to buzz from Manchester?
Manchester Brown.
Top cop.
Top cop is correct, yes. Well, you'll recall that sometime last week we heard Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto. Your music bonuses are 3 more classical pieces by composers who were awarded Mendelssohn scholarships, established by admirers of the composer after his death in 1847 to help support promising musicians. In each case, all you have to do is name the composer. Firstly, this German composer who received a scholarship in 1879.
Okay, so I'm going to go for Schumann then. Yeah. Schumann?
No, it's Engelbert Humperdinck.
Oh, right.
Secondly, another German-born composer who received a scholarship in 1919.
Surabaya Johnny, though you're rotten, I know. Surabaya Johnny, God, I love you so. Surabaya Johnny, why can't I let you go? You've got no heart, Johnny.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was
No, we don't know.
saying.
Try and get it then.
Let's have it, please.
Kurt Weill and Bertolt Brecht, wasn't it? So
Kurt Weill.
Kurt Weill?
Kurt Weill is correct, yes. And finally, this English composer who received a scholarship in 1948.
Just say the surname.
Russell?
No, it's Sir Malcolm Arnold, part of his English dances. Right, 10 points for this. I and my companions suffer from a disease of the heart that can only be cured with gold. These words formed part of a message sent to the...
Maudlin Wright.
Hernan Cortez.
Hernan Cortez is correct. His message to Montezuma. Right, after that period of indolence, Maudlin, you get some bonuses on bells. Inscribed with a verse from the book of Leviticus, the bell in Philadelphia that was heard at the first public reading of the US Declaration of Independence is commonly known by what name?
Liberty Bell.
Correct. Weighing approximately 24,000 kilograms. The St. Peter's Bell, or Fat Peter, is the largest in which German cathedral close to the River Rhine?
I would imagine Cologne.
Cologne.
Correct. The cracked Tsar bell, also known as the Tsar Kolokol, is a giant bell that stands in the grounds of which building complex?
I would guess the Kremlin. Yeah.
The Kremlin.
Correct. Right, another starter question. Listen carefully and answer as soon as your name is called. If the integers from 1 to 100 are written in Roman numerals and then placed in alphabetical order, which comes last?
Maudlin Wright.
5.
Anyone like to buzz?
Manchester Bryce.
X. So 10.
No, it's 38. 10 points for this. One of the 3 women awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011, Tawakkol Karman, became a prominent figure in the Arab Spring protests in which country?
Maudlin Wright.
Tunisia.
One of you buzzed from Manchester.
Manchester Bryce.
Egypt.
No, it's Yemen. 10 points for this. The inactivated vaccine Havrix confers immunity against which specific strain of a viral disease?
Maudlin Wright.
Meningitis C.
Anyone want to have a go from Manchester?
Manchester Gilbert.
Meningitis B.
No, it's hepatitis A. 10 points for this starter question. Cape Verde, Oman, St. Lucia and Bangladesh are among countries that joined the United Nations during which decade?
Magdalen Mangan.
1970s.
Correct. Right, these bonuses, Magdalen, are on carpets. Carpet was first manufactured in England in which Wiltshire town, with its loom being patented in 1741? Competitors soon included Kidderminster and Axminster.
I don't know any Wiltshire towns.
Salisbury, Winchester, Salisbury.
No.
Just go for it.
Salisbury.
No, it's Wilton. Named after a town in northwest Iran, which exhibit in the V&A Museum in London is the world's oldest dated carpet, having been completed around 1540?
No idea.
No ideas?
No.
No, pass.
It's the Ardabil carpet. And finally, which German painter who died in 1543 gave his name to the small pattern and large pattern types of Turkish rug that appeared in his work?
Could be Lucas Cranach or Bosch or... Try Lucas Cranach, the elder.
Cranach.
No, it's Hans Holbein the Younger. Right, we're going to take another picture round now. For your picture starter, you'll see a still from a film adaptation of a 19th century novel. 10 points if you can give me the name of the character you see.
Magdalen Mangan.
Fagin.
Anyone like to buzz from Manchester?
Manchester Gilbert.
Van Helsing.
It is Van Helsing, yes. Right, following on from Anthony Hopkins as the vampire hunter in Francis Ford Coppola's version of Dracula, your picture bonuses are 3 more actors who've played Van Helsing in film versions of Bram Stoker's novel. In each case, all I want you to do is to identify the actor. Firstly, for 5.
Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing.
Correct. Secondly, from a rather loose adaptation.
Oh, Mel Brooks. It's Mel Brooks. Yeah, it will be. It's Mel Brooks. Absolutely.
Mel Brooks.
It is. And finally...
I don't know who that is. Oh, was that Laurence Olivier?
Yes, it does look like him.
I'm going to go for it if you think Olivier. Yeah.
Laurence Olivier.
Yes. Right. Fingers on the buzzers, here's another starter. King Stephen, the ruins of Athens, Coriolan and Egmont are among the overtures of which composer born in...
Magdalen Perkins.
Beethoven.
Correct. These bonuses are on orbits, Magdalen College. An orbital solution of the two-body problem in Newtonian gravity and approximated by the paths of long-period comets in the solar system. What class of orbit results when an object's kinetic energy plus its potential energy is equal to 0?
Stable, maybe?
Stable.
Stable.
No, it's parabolic. What class of orbit results when an object's kinetic energy is minus 1/2 of its potential energy?
Hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic.
No, it's circular. And finally, what type of orbit has positive kinetic plus potential energy?
Elliptical, maybe.
Elliptical.
Elliptical.
No, that was hyperbolic. 10 points for this. Excluding the sex chromosomes, how many matched pairs of chromosomes are there in a normal human somatic cell?
Manchester Bar.
22.
22 is correct, yes. These bonuses are on a royal appointment, Manchester. During the reign of Charles I, Nicholas Lanier became the first person appointed to which largely ceremonial position responsible for composing or performing music for state occasions?
Is it Master of the King's Music? Master of the King's Music, isn't it? Yeah.
Master of the King's Music.
Correct. Who was appointed Master of the King's Music in 1942? His works include the tone poem Tintagel and the score for the 1948 film Oliver Twist.
Might it be Walton? I know he did film scores.
Walton.
No, it's Sir Arnold Bax. And finally, the opera The Lighthouse is a work by which composer appointed Master of the Queen's Music in 2004?
That's Peter Maxwell Davies, I think.
Peter Maxwell Davies.
Correct. 3.5 minutes to go, 10 points for this. One day, sir, you may tax it, was reportedly the response of Michael Faraday when
Manchester Bar.
Electricity.
Electricity is correct. Bonuses this time are on exclamation marks, Manchester. The name of which village on Bideford Bay is taken from the title of a novel by Charles Kingsley and is unusual among British place names in that it contains an exclamation mark?
Westwood Ho.
Yes.
Westwood Ho.
Westwood Ho.
Correct. Released in 1968, what was the first film with an exclamation mark in its title to win the Oscar for Best Picture?
Could it have been Hello, Dolly?
Just guessing. 68. It might be a bit late for that. But if it's not coming, I'm going to go for it. Hello, Dolly.
Hello, Dolly.
No, it's Oliver. And in 1965, 2 UK #1 songs had exclamation marks in their titles. Go Now by the Moody Blues was one. What was the other? I want the name of the song and the band.
Help by the Beatles?
Yes.
Help by the Beatles?
Help by the Beatles.
Correct. 10 points for this. In addition to the title character, Tennyson's 1842 poem, The Lady of Shalott, mentions one other person by name.
Maudlin Watson.
Sir Lancelot.
Correct. These bonuses are on English monarchs. What relation was King Stephen to Henry I?
Cousin. Cousin?
Cousin?
No, he was nephew. James I and VI bore what relation to Henry VII?
Great-grandson?
No, great-great-grandson. No. And finally, what relation was Edward I to Henry III? Come on.
Son.
He was his son, yes. 10 points for this. Terms meaning a very small amount of money, an alarmist person, a light wire mesh and a cowardly disposition are linked by which bird?
Manchester Bar.
Chicken.
Chicken is correct, yes. Bonuses this time on the states of India, Manchester. In which populous state is the city of Varanasi, one of the 7 sacred cities of Hinduism?
Uttar Pradesh, that's the only really populous one. Okay, what's it called?
Let's have it, please.
Okay, nominate Bar. Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh is correct. Bordering Uttar Pradesh to the east, in which state is the city of Gaya, near which Shakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment?
Maybe. Sorry? No.
Let's have it, please.
Punjab.
That's Bihar. The Golden Temple of Amritsar, the most important place of Sikh pilgrimage, is in which state?
Punjab.
That is in Punjab, yes. 10 points for this. The open-air collection of sculptures called the Vigeland Park, the Kon-Tiki Museum and the Munch Museum are in which European capital?
Manchester Bra.
Oslo.
Oslo is right. Your bonuses this time are novels whose titles are based on phrases from the plays of Shakespeare. In each case, name the author of the book and the play from which the title comes. Firstly, the 1929 novel The Sound and the Fury.
What's about William Faulkner? But,
From Hamlet. Yeah.
Hamlet.
Okay. Faulkner and Hamlet.
That's William Faulkner and Macbeth. Secondly, the 1962 novel Pale Fire.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Come on, let's have it, please.
We don't know that one.
That's Vladimir Nabokov and Timon of Athens. And finally, the 1932 novel Brave New World.
Huxley, and it's from Tempest.
Huxley and the Tempest.
Correct. 10 points for this. In terms... Magdalen College, Oxford have 90. Manchester University have 220. Well, we're going to say goodbye to you, Magdalen. It's not really a fair representation of the contest, I think, that margin of difference, but we shall definitely have to say goodbye to you, I'm afraid. Congratulations, Manchester. That's a great score. We shall look forward to seeing you in the quarter-final, so congratulations. I hope you can join us next time for another second-round match, but until then, it's goodbye from Magdalen College, Oxford.
Bye.
It's goodbye from Manchester University.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.